sworn it was Judgment Day. Sky was all purple, there were people running everywhere, trying to run from the destruction. You know I didn't even care. Say 2000, party over, oops, out of time. So tonight I'm gonna party like it's 1999. I was dreaming when I wrote this, so sue me if I go too fast. Life is just a party and parties weren't meant to last. War is all around us, my mind says prepare to fight. So if I gotta die, I'm gonna listen to my body tonight. Yeah, they say 2000, party over, oops, out of time. So tonight I'm gonna party like it's 1999. Yeah. If you didn't come to party, don't bother knocking on my door. Got the line in my pocket, and baby, he's ready to roll. Yeah. Body's got a bomb, we could all die any day. But before I let that happen, I'll dance my life away. They say 2000, party over, oops, out of time. So tonight I'm gonna party like it's 1999. Say one more time. 2000, party over, oops, out of time. Yeah. So tonight I'm gonna party like it's 1999. We're gonna party. 1999. Don't you wanna go? 1999. Don't you wanna go? 1999. We can all die any day. I don't wanna die. I'd rather dance my life.
Good morning, everybody. It is the day before New Year's Eve, and how are we all doing today? It's Larsen Live. It is December 30th, 2023. We opened up with 1999 by everybody's favorite Minneapolis funker and apparently really good basketball player, Prince. Yes, I too missed 1999. Those were better days. Those were days, the last halcyon days where America didn't completely suck. I miss them dearly. Yeah, it's 2023, so nobody's partying at all. We're just sitting at home furiously masturbating and dreading 2024. Yes, but I mean, I'm not at the very least. As I like to say, as my life gets better, the world gets worse. So 1999 was, a good year for most people. I mean, I was being humiliated on a minutely basis at school, but, I had Nintendo 64 to ease my pains. And the country was good back then. In contrast, I am much more well-adjusted as a human being in 2023, but the country is going to hell in a handbasket. But never mind that. Let's just dream of those better days where gas was less than $1 a gallon and, the country wasn't completely shit. Clint H. says he was jamming to the Prince song. Yes, those were better days, he says. I miss them too. I was young, free, and single, no responsibilities, and he was watching Power Rangers. Yes, that's that's something that we all miss from the 90s. I actually did see the 2017 reboot of Power Rangers, and I can tell you very little about it. It was literally in one eye and out the other. I enjoyed it while I was watching it, but then again, I was never a huge Power Rangers fan, even when I was a child. Because back in the 90s, there was a very clear-cut choice you had to make. You were either a Power Rangers kid or a Ninja Turtles kid. I picked Ninja Turtles, and I made the right decision, damn it. Anyway, speaking of the country going to hell, let's look at what's in the news. Oh, look at that. Yesterday, John Bolton was in the news. And take a wild guess what that mustachioed, blood-drinking son of a bitch was saying. Drumroll, please. The West may now have no option but to attack Iran. Why attack Iran? I don't know. John Bolton is just the apotheosis, the epitome of neocon thinking. When in doubt, just attack Iran. I don't know why these people have such a furious hard-on for attacking Iran, but they do. I mean, I guess it was so much fun being in the sandbox for 20 years. I guess we got to do it again for another 20 years. I mean, John Bolton, of course, only knows in theory what it's like to go to war since he ducked Vietnam at every goddamn chance he could. There's something I find just so incredibly repugnant about a man who, salivates and furiously beats off to the military, but yet avoids active service himself. Dare I say, we don't need to go to war in the Middle East again? I mean, that's a completely irrational thought, apparently. And also, I would like to point out that the United States military literally doesn't fight to win anymore. We literally want to have slow-burning, peat fire wars that just go on because, Raytheon and Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman, actually make more money with those, peat fire wars than if we had just, gone in, just kicked the shit out of the country and then ruled, imperialistically. That would actually be less profitable than, than just having the peat fire burning for all perpetuity. A tweet in the thread says it best. You literally could not come up with a better face of the military-industrial complex if you tried. Every 80s action movie had a guy who looks just like this being blown up at the end. Yeah. I mean, we all remember the ending of Invasion USA, right? Richard Lynch just eats shit with an LAW to the face. Yeah, that should be done to John Bolton. Vigorously. I'm not even joking. I would literally, there's a list of people who, if I could just punch in the face once, I think it would make the world a better place. He's pretty high on that list, John Bolton. Yeah, when in doubt, just attack Iran. John Bolton woke up from a horrifying nightmare in which there wasn't war going on in the world. Hey. Let's see, got some comments here. Rick says, I was a Power Rangers kid, so people believe me when I said The Last Ronin is a good book. The Last Ronin referring to a Ninja Turtles comic of the same name. I believe Razor Fist recommended that. I haven't read it, so I couldn't tell you how it's good or not. But Clint H. agrees with me on the Power Rangers versus Ninja Turtles dichotomy. And yes, I know they did cross over with that Next Mutation Ninja Turtles live action show, which was absolute hot garbage. I mean, look, I like Ninja Turtles, but there's a lot of just god-awful horse shit that came out of that franchise. Sean Baby put it best. If only a third of... Actually, I think he said, if only 10% of Ninja Turtles merchandise was garbage, that would still be more garbage than any entity on the planet has ever made. And there's a lot more garbage than just 10%. Ninja Turtles chocolate pie, straight from the sewers to your mouth. Ninja Turtles the fishing pole. Ninja Turtles the shitty Gary Brodsky comic books that were unlicensed. which you all saw my video on that. Clint H says, "Leave the Middle East to the Middle East. Won't ever be able to change their blood feuds." I mean, to be fair, the blood feuds were only exacerbated with the Sykes-Picot thing after World War One. But yeah, I'm definitely not in favor of just endless, low burning peat fire wars. But then again, I'm not a stockholder for Raytheon, so actually, I am a stockholder in Raytheon. I'm not a majority stockholder in Raytheon. Yeah, that is a stain upon my soul. I do own, a few shares of, Northrop and Raytheon stocks. Dare I say, it's like if the military-industrial complex isn't going to be dissolved, I ought to profit off it a little bit. Dubiously says, Raytheon was recruiting out of my tech school, but I still have a soul, so I was like, nope. Yeah, well said, sir. I mean, technically speaking, I could go to like stockholder meetings, but if I did, it would really just be like, guys, can we just sell weapons to other people? This is, guys, can we stop? At the very least, if I went to an in-person meeting, I don't think I would be allowed in because I legitimately would not stop just slamming John Bolton's face into a table if I was ever in the same room with him. And I'm not kidding. Uh, I hate that man like you could not believe. Yeah, he and John McCain was also a big booster of just attacking Iran for no goddamn reason at all. And yeah, there's just garbage people all around here. But to go back to the Power Rangers versus Ninja Turtles thing, and this is a hell of a pendulum I have going talking about Ninja Turtles, but also the MIC. Uh, yeah, although I do like the combat of reptiles, I'm like, can we just have a moratorium on Ninja Turtles for like 5 or 10 years? People are not going to forget they exist, and you'll revive interest in the franchise if you do that. I mean, I know Seth Rogen had that Mutant Mayhem movie that just came and went like a fart in church. Did anybody see that shit? Because I didn't. I didn't see Bay Turtles either. Yes, Bay Turtles, in which Megan Fox in interviews said that Raphael was the leader. He's not. That was seriously like, for the love of God, can we stop with the Ninja Turtles for just 10 years? Sometimes you really just have to take a step back and realize how the hell did this ever become like $1 billion marketing juggernaut? So moving on, let's leave America behind, and let's see what else is going on in the news. Uh, on Christmas Day, there was some news that went on. A tweet went a bit viral from a Leninist who has a red flag in her profile, so she is a communist, a card-carrying communist. This is the direct quote from her tweet. 34 years ago today, Nikolai Ceaucescu was murdered by a capitalist firing squad after a violent coup of the communist government. He left an indelible mark on Romania. May history reflect on his contributions and his mistakes. Yes, we're simping for Ceaucescu now. Even by communist standards, he was not good. Under his rule, Romania was was the poorest country in Europe. There were 20,000 orphan children just roaming the streets. Meanwhile, his wife was buying designer shoes. He and his wife were executed on national television on Christmas Day. That's what that was good. I like how, it's a capitalist firing squad, as if Romanians, wouldn't be a bit upset about a dictator running them into poverty. For all this talk about like the war on Christmas and happy holidays versus Merry Christmas and different holiday traditions being neglected or not, Why don't we compromise? How about we celebrate December 25th as happy the Ceaucescu's eating shit day? I mean, I'm in favor of that. I'm in favor of any day where we celebrate communist dictators having bullets put into their heads. Oh, look, there's photos in the Twitter thread of Nikolai and Elena eating shit. Good show. Can the tankies please stop simping for dictators? Like even if you said like, oh well, he wasn't a real communist, like that is at least somewhat defensible. Like by any objective standard, the Romanian regime sucked the big one. It's not good. Like you can look at all the statistics you want, and shit was bad, yo. And, oh, fun fact: in preparation for a state visit by the Ceausescu's, Queen Elizabeth II ordered the guest rooms of Buckingham Palace to be stripped of all valuables for fears that they would be stolen. She later described the visit as the 3 worst days of her life. Yeah, yes, communists are bad people. I am very much an anti-communist. Deal with it, tankies. Can the tankies please stop simping for the worst people on the planet? These are also the people who, if you will recall, were celebrating the execution of the Romanov family. Even the children and the servants and the dog, they deserved it too, apparently. And if you'll recall when I talked about that before, the executioner in question then proceeded to molest the Queen's corpse. Because of course he did. Yeah, fuck communists. Okay, looking at the comments here, I understand that there's not a huge turnout today because it's almost New Year's, and obviously you people have, families and friends and loved ones to be with instead of listening to me just bullshitting around. I understand that. I wasn't expecting a huge turnout. Hey, Shinseki Evans says, I remember my dad told me Transformers and Ninja Turtles were fads that wouldn't last. Yeah, oh boy. I mean, I don't think that really happens with like television shows where like it'll have a brief moment of popularity and then go away. I mean, it's always going to be kind of around. I mean, fads do come and go. I mean, I say as I look at my fidget spinner that I still have in my desk. But yeah, there's always going to be some people working on the mythos of pop culture mythology, and that will that's always going to be around. Dubiously says, well, Mickey Mouse's copyright expires next year because Disney finally ran out of loopholes to extend their copyright. Yes, I did hear that dubiously. More specifically, I don't think it's the character on the whole's copyright is going away. It's just the copyright for the original Steamboat Willie and Plane Crazy cartoons from the 20s that are going away. So you know what that means? We can expect a bunch of really shitty hack, horror movies coming out about like evil Steamboat Willie killing people. Wow, what a brilliant idea, shit dick. Yes, we all remember the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey that came out, which was a shitty horror movie about Winnie the Pooh killing people. And I think they did it with like some other characters as well. That is just no creativity went into that whatsoever. It's like that meme where it's like, hey guys, look, I drew the hamburger helper hand with sharp teeth. Oh, look at the dark recesses in my mind. Ooh. Yeah. I mean, come on, if you're going to use like a copyrighted character or a public domain character, there are other ways to use it than just, shitty hack horror movies. Why not make a movie about like Steamboat Willie leading I don't know, like a union strike against the Steamboat Union or something? It's better than, Steamboat Willie, which is inevitably going to be what it is. Anyway, Narahari Kamath says, capitalism is not the perfect model, but socialism is bad and communism is worse. Yes. Yes, it is. Rick says, at my local library, I saw a tankie talk to a paranoid schizophrenic. Everybody around them ran away. I mean, having known a few communists in my life, most of them will at the very least admit, at least to my face, that, the communist dictators that exist in real life were shite. But they'll try to say, oh, that's not a proper implementation of communism. I've yet to meet like an actual tankie who will defend like, the gulags or, Mao Zedong or Ceaucescu in real life. Only on the Twitters. Clint H says he cannot stand Joe Biden. He's a traitor to his own country. Sorry if that offends anybody. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Biden myself. Shinseki Evans says, what's worse, public domain horror or porn parody? In all honesty, like, I think the public domain horror is worse because like, that's just like the utter, like, just dregs of creativity. It takes no creativity to be like, hey, look, here's a children's character. I'm going to make him like bloody and, kill people. Look how creative I am. Yes, like the porn parody is actually better than just hack horror. But speaking of cartoons, we have this brilliance right here. Well, the tweet was deleted, but I remember what it said. It basically said it was some tankie who was like, the Hanna Barbera cartoons are implicitly white supremacist, but y'all aren't ready for that conversation. Yes, when I think of Hanna Barbera cartoons, I think of white supremacy and fascism. Okay. That is a stupid idea, and you should feel bad. Oh, it's all these, wacky animals that talk like 1930s actors. That's white supremacy. Yeah, when I watch Augie Doggy and Doggy Daddy, I'm just thinking of the fascism. It's a show about a cartoon dog, single father who talks like Jimmy Durante and his son. The fascism is just dripping through here. I don't understand it either. I mean, unless the idea is that Hanna-Barbera cartoons implicitly reflect the prosperity of, mid-century post-war America. And of course, 1950s and 60s America is inherently white supremacist and fascist, according to deranged yahoos. So therefore, your favorite, limited animation, painted radio, as Chuck Jones put it, it's white supremacist. Yeah, those coconut, drumming when they, spin their feet around, Nazism. God, animation Twitter is really stupid sometimes. Okay, dubiously says all of Biden's energy goes into cheating death for another week. Just like Mr. Burns. C-Punk Messiah says we're getting Thicky Mouse. Yeah, probably. Yeah, fun fact, Harlan Ellison got a job writing for Disney. On his first day, he suggested making a porno movie. He was fired that afternoon. So the idea exists. Just now they're going to do it. And it's been a very long time since I saw Steamboat Willie, but I think it really is just Mickey Mouse and Pete the cat. And yes, I know that's not his actual name, gadding about on the steamship. So yes, not only are we getting Steamboat Willie porn, it's going to be gay Steamboat Willie porn. It's just that hard Pete dick is going to go inside Mickey Mouse. I hate that I'm imagining this now. God. Clint H says, I watched Cocaine Bear the other day. I cannot believe how bad that film is. It is the shittiest film I've seen in years. I have not seen Cocaine Bear. I'll take your word for it, sir. the public domain thing is, I mean, I like the public domain just because I can read a lot of shit for free. But yeah, we got a lot of just garbage hack work with public domain material. Like, gee, how many shitty Wizard of Oz movies are there? Way too many, that's how many. Okay, moving on. Now we're going to come to the title story. The title is, Gee, Wally, the Sentinel Island sure could use a McDonald's. No one's literally asking this, but in spirit they are asking this. Some douchebag on Twitter was like, when are we going to make contact with the Sentinels? Are we going to have Mars colonies and transhuman cyborgs but just keep a bunch of people in a pre-Bronze Age bubble till the end of time? Well, I don't see why not. Yeah, no, the Sentinelese, they don't want to deal with our shit. They wish to live in the Stone Age, and that's their business. Let them do it. Like, also, isn't this whole like uplifting the heathen thing? Isn't this all rather colonialist in nature? Like, oh, we have a moral imperative to force these people to eat Skittles and work a graveyard shift at Kentucky Fried Chicken. A tweet. There's literally 40 people on this island. The shitlibs cannot accept 40 people not subject to Netflix, porn, and diversity training. Like, there's a lot of people who are into this. We should integrate them into our society. Getting born into a Bronze Age tribe just seems like a sad fate, which we could one day prevent. You know, in all honesty, I find their lifestyle somewhat enviable. I mean, they don't have to deal with school marms. They don't have to deal with, horn-rimmed glasses HR ladies lecturing them about stupid shit that doesn't mean anything. They don't have to wake up at an alarm clock. They just shoot things with bows and arrows and have their balls flapping in the breeze, and that's great. Like I says to my wife when we were watching Quest for Fire, yes, I do find these people's lifestyles to be rather enviable. I do enjoy hitting things with sticks and grunting and screaming. I I don't know if I would do it 24/7, but I see the appeal. I really do. C Punk Messiah says, looking at the comments, try being in the Rule 34 community. That is not a place for the weak. Yeah, I'm occasionally subjected to the Rule 34 community when I read Legend of Zelda related tweets and I'm subjected to just pages and pages of sissy femboy link porn. And I've discussed that many times. I try not to I block the people posting that shit, but it keeps coming up. Okay, Narahari Kamath says the Sentinelese have no resistance to disease. That's why the British and Indian government forbids anybody from going there. Yes, I don't see why we can't just let them do their thing. But, apparently little, noodle arm do-gooders, the do-gooders, they can't imagine any goddamn corner of the world where, people aren't forced to watch porn and Netflix and, have McDonald's. So when I say, gee, Wally, like, we should build McDonald's on Sentinel Island. That is literally what these damn people want. Yeah, God forbid we leave people alone. God forbid people mind their own goddamn business and live off grid. I mean, I'm just saying, if these people wanted to make contact, they could build boats and do it themselves. They don't want it. Also, my wife just sneezed. Bless you, darling. Yep. Hey. Hey, Biff Slankovich says Biden's better than the alternative. I suppose, but maybe, I don't know, just the politicians we have suck in general. Okay, Clint H says, who is the ninja guy who did the animal screaming in his tutorial videos? There's a lot of senseless screaming in my Kung Fail videos. I mean, there's a Sheeta Kim, there's the yellow bamboo people, there's just a cavalcade of just failure in Kung Fail. Ms. Slankovich says Trump's been smelling since 1980. They're calling him Shirley. A lot of arrests could be made in the American government. Let's leave it at that. Yeah, anyway, in conclusion, I'm not in favor of making contact or uplifting, quote unquote, the Sentinelese. I mean, my general idea of my general philosophy in life, shall I say, is like leave people the hell alone unless they want to be not left alone. Oh, and of course, the cretin who made that tweet is a NATO stan, a free trade appreciator, a Pax Americana believer. Please shut up, woman. Your your ideas are stupid, and you should feel bad. And yes, I do keep in my bullet points. I refer to the Sentinelese as the Sentinels. So not only do should we leave the Sentinelese alone, we should leave the Sentinels alone. Giant robots that fight the X-Men should be left alone, to be honest. It's not safe for us. Hey. Seapunk Messiah says, I do dream of a civilization that is similar to Final Fantasy or Vampire Hunter D, half medieval, half modern. Well, that is, in theory, what that, like, solar punk, uh, the idea of solar punk is. It's like, these people, they have, like, solar power and little gardens and stuff, which, would be nice in theory from what I've seen of it. But I guarantee that the rich would find some way to dick us over somehow. But yes, I too dream of a Final Fantasy-esque civilization where people live in the villages with swords and stuff, but then there's also motorcycles and, like eldritch abominations being siphoned for their power. Yeah, yes, I haven't played many Final Fantasy games beyond number 7. As you can clearly see. Clint H says it was Robert Bussey. Yes, Robert Bussey's pressure points. And the sad thing is, Robert Bussey's pressure points are probably better than like most of the Kung fails I've done. He even had Steve Gentleman in one of his videos, who is the second ever UFC champion. He won by default, which is the best way to win. Dave Slankovich is talking about Trump being smelly. I've never met the man, so I'll take your word for it. He has a golf course in Bedminster. He's got a golf course in central New Jersey. I might stop by sometime. So yeah, what else is going on? Let's leave America for a second and let's go to Canada. So apparently what's happening is Canadian women are upset. They go on the dating apps and they see that the dating apps are just wall-to-wall Indian men. This is upsetting them. Yes. It seems like the frustrations of dating as a 37-year-old woman. The guys it seems like no matter how much dating I do, both online and in real life, it's always the same story. The guys I'm attracted to are not attracted to me, and the guys that are attracted to me, I am not attracted to. The quantity of messages is not the problem. The problem is the quality. I got a really well thought out message from a guy on OkCupid. I was ecstatic. Then I looked at his profile pic and I saw that it was an Indian guy. When this happened, I broke down and started crying. The fact that he made the effort to write such a well thought out message meant that he thought he had a chance with me, and that made me feel bad. I want to get married and have kids, but that's not happening. Yeah, that's, oh boy, that's one of the most hurtful things I've ever seen. Yeah, so apparently being an Indian on a dating app is psychologically harming to women. That's really not nice, but yeah, it's just Canadian women not happy about the dating apps. Apparently Canada has gotten a lot of immigration from India. Like a lot. So not good. And I say, I'm tired of this. Here's another quote from the ladies of the Great White North. I'm tired of this. I can't afford a house. I can't get health care. Dating apps exclusively have Indian men, and there's no end in sight. I blame our leaders, in scare quotes, for letting things get this far. Canada is a joke. We're being replaced in our own country. My sister's on another quote. My sister is on Facebook dating. All the men are Indian. She wants a typical Canadian guy, and she says she'll never find the man because everywhere you go, it's Indians. That is unfortunate. That's geez, as an Asian man myself, I do feel a great amount of sympathy for this, for just everybody involved. Obviously, people can have their preferences. No one's obligated to, date whatever. And yeah, it's not good in Canada either. Quote an Indian man in response, I don't have any sympathy for Canadians whining about this shit. What do you expect? We should just let 15 million Anglo-French occupy the second largest landmass on Earth forever? The land is not yours, mate. Piss off. Ah, yes, so not only do they say that to Americans, they say that to Canadians too. I mean, if you want to be technical, most of the Indians immigrating are descendants of Aryan conquerors, so technically the land isn't theirs either. But obviously, mass immigration causes lots of problems. Women most affected. Of course it is. Let's check out some comments since this is probably just a wonderful little discussion. Okay. Clint H is laughing. Clint H says, I honestly think the more you get older, it's better to be with someone who has the right personality for you as opposed to just looks. Okay. Clint H asks, here's my wife with some coffee. Yes, I've won the dating game. Clint H asks, where do my ancestors come from, Larsen? My dad is white, predominantly German and Polish ancestry, and my mother is from Taiwan. They got out of China after the unpleasantness in 1949. So yes, I am of Chinese ethnicity on my mother's side and white on my father's side. I have discussed this many times. Clint H says, I think the more you get older, it's better to be with someone who has the right personality for you as opposed to just looks. Well, looks are certainly important. Personality is good too. I won big myself with a lovely lady in both looks and personality. Narahari Kamath says the immigration is based on Canadian policies. Yeah, I don't blame immigrants for going to a country for better opportunity. I really don't. I mean, I blame, noodle-armed bitches like Justin Trudeau for, hating this country and being like, let's add 2% of the population to my country every year. Yes. Narahari Kamath says the Canadian white population is shrinking because of low birth rates and lots of migration out of Canada. Indians are happy to take advantage. Yes, mass immigration is a big problem for everybody. Yes. again, I don't blame them for taking advantage, but I mean, it does cause problems all around. It's a massive brain drain from the third world to the first world. It's not really helping those countries. Then it causes problems in the first world countries as well. Obviously, now we have to take the problem seriously because the ladies are being affected. They're being, their bobs and vagine are being demanded, and you know, you can a society can put up with a lot of things, but when ladies are getting the ick, nationwide, that's where we got to put our feet down. Damn it. The most important thing in society is making sure ladies don't feel bad. But then again, I do find it, but yes, as an American, in a very, base, sort of vulgar sense, I do find it hilarious that for the past 100 years or so, other wealthy countries have been lecturing us about how racist we are. And now you've got your opportunity to show how, diverse and tolerant you are, and you're failing miserably at it. It's vulgar of me, but yes, I do find it very bitterly amusing. I'm not going to lie. I mean, clearly the solution is for Justin Trudeau to dress up as Mr. Popo again. That'll make everything better. I mean, one could have sworn that Justin Trudeau putting on his parachute pants and dancing about would have, solved everything. But I guess not. You gotta dance harder, Justin. But in a sense, I do respect the sheer confidence of Indian incels. Every app is a dating app if you're Indian enough. Narahari Kamath says Canada needs a strong leader. I think that's a faraway dream. Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of people talk about how much America sucks, and yeah, it certainly does. But it's like I genuinely can't look around and see, like, is there any place that's doing that much better that isn't on the same road down the shitter as we are? Like, I really don't see any place that's better off, to be honest. And yeah, dare I say, when I turned 30, dating apps suddenly became really shitty. I mean, I'm very lucky that I found my wife, but yeah, it was slim pickings up until then. Once I turned 30, it's just like, wow, there's a lot of single moms and fat chicks. Okay. Clint H says that's why he respects Vladimir Putin. I don't like him, but I respect him as a strong leader who doesn't put up with shit from other countries. Yeah, the world would be a lot better if countries actually cared about their citizens and not just, endless serf labor and wages. Yeah. Okay. Now, as we come to the end of the stream, we have a couple of kind of pop culture related news. In celebrity news, because this is obviously what we need to be talking about, actor Gerard Butler says that he has sex with men, but he's not gay. I, yes, he has sex with men. He has been with men, but he's not gay. Well, I mean, he did play the King of Sparta, so I guess it makes sense in a. Guess it makes sense in that regard. I guess it's like a prison thing, I guess. Erastes and Eromenos, eh, Leonidas? Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. C Punk Messiah says, I wonder where India went wrong when Indians got so low on the dating chain. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that, certainly a lot of things wrong with America, but, you know, as long as America doesn't become a country where men are just like, jabbering and, screaming for bobs and vagine and like just being really creepy and weird around women, I think we're not doing all that bad. Like that is the most important thing you can do. Not the most important, but one of the most important things is to make sure your men don't become creepy weirdos around women. Like, I mean, dating sucks, but I would rather have a country where it is like, Hobbesian wars of all against all sexually rather than like weirdo like caste systems and arranged marriages because shit gets weird. Then you're gonna have like guys like screaming on Facebook at like literal paintings, screaming for show me vagine bitch lasagna. Okay. Or as a tweet I saw put it, in like the last 10 years, India became went from being known for spirituality and mysticism and yoga to being known for weird sex crimes and street shitting. Has any country had a bigger fall from grace? I don't know, genuinely. Narahari Kamath brings up India and China a female infanticide. Yes, that is a problem. It is very much a problem. And once again, overseas Chinese absolutely clean house compared to the mainland. Clint H says he read the Gerard Butler thing as well. Again, I think he might have method acted too hard playing as Leonidas. Now he has a very ancient Greek conception of homosexuality. It's not gay if you're giving. I genuinely think that might be what it is. Narahari Kamath says that factors like infanticide, large populations, strict traditional marriages, and arranged marriages leads to desperate men. Well said, sir. And finally, uh, a stupid tweet went out around fantasy literature. And I quote from Queen Durag at Queen Durag: white people writing fantasy is so interesting to me because you could write about anything in fantasy and your world still have rape, incest, hierarchy, pillaging, pilfering, plundering, land theft, taxes, and abuse. Imagine a world where none of those atrocities need to exist and see what problems you could come up with. Then I will be impressed. And then, okay. And then she linked to some kind of article by some asshole who presumably thinks that orcs and goblins are sublimated black people. Okay. Why is it that some writers don't need to rely on wanton violence to get a story across? Or at the very least, if those elements exist, attempt to grapple with the foundations in the real world, something that merits it being there. An imaginary space that's imposed upon others and it becomes reality. Until white people do critical studies of their own people and relinquish some imaginary space to finding solutions, may believe they shouldn't write about the problems that they can't get to the heart of who has historically imposed such a worldview where that is normalized. I don't entirely know what this woman is demanding. Like, so apparently what this woman wants is a fantasy novel which is set in an idyllic setting with no conflict and no problems. Are you in fact a child, ma'am? Like, you want a book where there's no conflict and everybody just dances around the trees and like once upon a time people were just kind of hanging out, the end. What kind of a dumbass writes something like this? Some tweets. Like, do you want like Seinfeld meets Lord of the Rings after they destroy the ring and just like hobbits, going around slice of life? What's the deal with pipe weed? Yeah, now I'm imagining like Lord of the Rings Seinfeld, like, Merry and Pippin like crashing through Frodo's door and like yelling at him about like chicken or whatever. Just, why is there conflict? Like it's racism. Her. It's fantasy. Nothing is stopping people of color from writing fantasy. In fact, there are several stories about idyllic utopias where everything works and everybody gets things that they need. Brave New World, 1984, Demolition Man, and so on and so forth. Oh my god. Boy, I really hate literary critics sometimes. So yeah, that does it for my prepared remarks. Uh, I'm just gonna keep reading this tweet, and everybody's just dunking on this woman, posting videos of like children's shows where there's no conflict, and apparently that's what this woman wants. So yeah, my bullet points are done. You can talk amongst yourselves for a bit. Punk Messiah says Pippin goes on a racist tirade about dwarves and gets canceled. Yes, that's my favorite part of Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I was I don't know, I guess I was trying to figure out who in like the core group of the hobbits would be Kramer. And yeah, I guess it would be Pippin. I'm out there, Frodo, and I'm loving every minute of it. Jesus Christ. Hey, Frodo, I was talking to my friend Gorlock the Destroyer, and he says he can get those hats for $50. Gee, Pippin, you sure have a lot of friends. How come I don't meet them? They want to know why they don't meet you. Shinseki Evans says, "What do you think about the Bruce Lee drug letters?" Well, I mean, he was in Hollywood in the '60s and '70s. He was token up a bit. Do I think he died of drug abuse? Well, I think Matthew Polly makes a pretty convincing case that he died of heat stroke. So I'm going to go with that actually. Yeah, so you can say your last pieces now. We are firmly in the kibbles and bits section. Yeah, I would. Going back to the Hobbit Seinfeld thing, I guess Rosie Cotton would be Elaine just because she's the only lady that's really named in the Shire. But I don't know. They don't really develop her personality all that much. All we know is that Sam went back to the Shire, slammed some Hobbit tussy, and then had 14 children. And yet people still say that Frodo and Sam were, playing hide the wiener. They were not. All right, so it doesn't seem like AC Bung Messiah says, you mentioned Matthew Polly. Read his book in high school. It was riveting. I only read his Bruce Lee biography. I know he read, like, he wrote the, he wrote some other, the American Shaolin book. It was about, like, his experience training at the Shaolin Temple. So, yeah. That about does it for my prepared remarks. So, for Larsen Halleck, this has been Larsen Halleck. I will see you all next year.